Hey everybody, I want to try to think about the question of violence and why we are so violent if we are, or where that comes from. And and I think there's something natural about violence, and that, maybe animalistically, right, exists in the animal kingdom, and I think to a large extent that we are really just animals. And so there is something to violence that is a part of us. I think that physical violence is a part of the natural world, and largely it's used for survival. So predators enact violence upon their prey, right? And hunting them. Prey, not all prey, some prey can enact violence upon the predator, fighting it off. So there is the natural right of animals is the struggle to survive. So there, I think, is the first example of physical violence. I would expand the definition of violence a little bit more and say that we enact violence upon the earth. Well, I mean, chopping down a tree, that's something that's alive. To build a house or something, even to mine minerals, any sort of appropriating of a resource and turning it into something else, which is a little more abstract. But then here I think you have this tie between destruction and creation, which is something else that a lot of people talk about. What is the tie there? So if you're going to make anything, especially anything physical, then you're going to take something else that already exists that's physical and, in a sense, enact violence on it to change it into whatever it is you're making: a sculpture, carving, a tool, food even, maybe, right? Even eating fruit. And going one step further, an abstract violence against ideals. So if you believe the world is one way, and typically when we believe something, we believe it is natural, so that it is this way always, and maybe always has been, always will be, but at least there's something natural to it. And if we see something contradicting that, then that threatens our ideal, which a lot of time threatens our view of reality, and I would say that is violent. This last one moves into the contemporary issue of identity politics, which I would say is probably one of the biggest issues in America, at least maybe in the Western world. Why this is, I think, is because identity is highly marketable. Why is it that men's clothes and women's clothes are what they are? Why are boys' toys and girls' toys what they are, right? And that's because of the consumer culture that we live in. And so I think that the consumer culture that we live in really pushes this idea of identity, as well as you can look at individualism and so forth, and advertising and whatnot. And through all of that, there have been ideals, right? Values come from that. So then this idea of what gender is really solidly built. And when that's challenged, so when your average conservative parents, when their child comes out to them as transgender, gender fluid, then something that is so solid and natural, a part of their reality, is threatened. And I would say that is intrinsically violent. And a lot of times you have people respond with violence, right? Respond, and in many cases, unfortunately, respond with physical violence. Well, here I don't want to excuse anyone for using physical violence or say that it's somehow appropriate. The value to physical violence is contingent upon contemporary values. To say that physical violence naturally, always and forever is bad is, I think, not true, but to say that in contemporary America there's no need for I don't believe there's any need for physical violence. But I think if we're going to ask why are people so aggressive, they feel threatened. Their reality is threatened. And I think anybody in that situation would feel, if your reality was threatened, then you would be essentially offended, right? Offended comes from offense, which is to attack. If you were offended, you're feeling attacked. I think all of us can remember these moments of these shifts in beliefs and ideal and how scary that was. In a sense, we almost felt like animals backed into a corner, prey backed into a corner. Anger, hate, all that really comes from fear. And I think if we're going to draw a parallel between the abstract violence and the animalistic physical violence, it's going to be that people are lashing out in fear in the same way a scared animal does. That's just one facet of it. I would say that abstract violence is good in a lot of ways because it causes people to learn and causes people to grow, and I think being scared of it is natural, but I think, maybe in the same way that being scared of challenging yourself. Let me know what you guys think too, because I'm sure that many of you have better thoughts on this than I do. And I will see you guys later. Have a good one.